when did you make the decision that your Cup career was over?
Right.
And you were going to go to late model? Was there one cutoff point? Was there one specific event?
Yes,
Okay.
Barnesville Speedway.
All right.
We missed a show. It was about 5 or 6 most time we'd make. We missed a show. It was like 86, something like that.
Now, is that the one you were talking about earlier?
No, that was at Charlotte.
Okay. All right. Okay.
This was, and I was sitting it the same way. And I just said, I can't, of course, that's local for us, you know,
Yeah,
88
yeah,
miles away.
yeah,
I was sitting there and I told Marshall, I just cannot, I ain't doing this. I said, it's just, I can't handle it anymore. So to make long story short, we did go a few more races. So 88, they opened a track up here. Steve McMurray built it, Pulaski County Speedway, which is now Motor Mile Speedway. So 87, there was a driving school. I can't remember, Fast Track or something.
Buck Baker?
No, one Buck Baker's another one, I think.
Okay.
Buck may have been
Yeah,
involved
yeah,
in
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but I think they called it Fast Track.
Yeah.
This guy calls up and he said, "You want to get out?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'll buy you a car and some of your stuff." And it was like, I don't know, 87. I said, "Okay." So I done bought a car off of Jody Ridley. Actually, I got it from Butch Stevens, BSR Products at the time. And it was an old Jody Ridley ASA car, and we went down Franklin County here in 86, 87. We run, I don't know, 8 or 10 races. Well, I go down there, and man, all of a sudden, here I am. Franklin County Speedway, a lot of people don't know, that's a rough cut place, buddy. I mean, they down there, they're drunk, fighting, throwing stuff at each other. I mean, this is
I've been there.
You've been there. It's a rough place. I don't know how it is now, but back then it was rough. So we go down there and we're winning races, doing good. I'm like, well, I didn't win a race. We didn't run about 8 or 10. I crashed out in 3 of them, got crashed out. So this guy, it's going to be a funny story. You're going to like this. A guy by the name of Six Pack Cundiff, Rodney Cundiff. He owned a truck and he's passed away a couple years ago, but he was one of the top drivers down there. I go down there. I had that old Ridley car. It was a Hal car, and it was a 3 or 4 link car, and was trying to learn how to work with it. And a guy by the name of Hal built cars. I called him, said, "What am I doing wrong on this car?" And he said, "Forget everything you did on that heavy car. You got to relearn." So he told me what to do, and we go down there and trying to change our thinking. I go down there, and we sat on the pole. We got crashed. First lap, a guy turned me. Come back a couple weeks later, fixed the car. Go down there, and we finished second. Come back next week. We qualified 4th, and this was back when it would be like 20, 25 cars on a 3/8 mile track.
Yeah.
And you're in Chubby Arrington, Joe Thurman, all them guys down there, Bobby Radford, Paul Radford run there. Go down there, and I said, man, and go down there, and we qualified 4th. Race starts, run a couple laps, and man, I had a good car. And I said, we got a winning car. Go down there and run about 2nd lap. 6-pack. And this guy, I'm not exaggerating, this guy was 6'3", 6'4", probably weighed 240. About 100 pounds of it was muscle. Wasn't fat like me. Go down there, and I bump him going in 3. He was run 3rd. When I hit him, I barely touched him. He went up a track. I went around him for 3rd. Harry Gant, I think, was there, and Ray Huff. He was a pretty tough driver. They wrecked coming out of the 4th corner, went up against the wall, and one of them's car caught on fire. Of course, they stopped everybody on the front stretch to get, I don't remember if it was Harry or Ray Huff getting out. That's when Darrell and Bobby and Harry would do them little, they'd pay them to come and do those little special events to get fans in. Again, I get out, and here comes, I look, and we're sitting in the car, and I see 6-pack getting out of his car. Look up in the mirror. I mean, people exaggerate. This guy he wasn't a tree, he was a mini tree, but I mean, this guy was big. He come out, and dag blame me, I seen him coming up there, and I said, what the crap? Comes up, man, he said, I'm gonna whoop your you know what, Thomas. I went, what? He said, I'm gonna beat your, I mean, this guy liked to fight. I had my darn window net up, and he was trying to pull it out, and I was pushing it in. he was, so I'm sitting there, and I said, this guy's going to kill me. Y'all get over. Freaking guys over there, they wouldn't come down, my guys. I guess they said, no, we're not getting in the middle of it. So he's trying to get it down. He sticks in there, and he said, sticks his head in there. Now, we got to be friends later, good friends. Sticks his head in there, he said, you think cause you run Winston Cup, you're something. You ain't no better than us. I said, I don't think like that, six-pack. I don't. He said, I'm going to whip your so-and-so. And he was trying to jerk it out the window net. And I said, I'm going to do you a favor. What? I said, you tell everybody you whipped it, and I'll tell everybody you whipped it and save you from doing it. Honest to God, this guy looks at me, and he turns and walks off and goes back and gets in his car. Of course, we sat there a little while, they got cleaned up. His crew guy told me after the race come down there, he said he has never had anybody do that. And I said, what? He said, he likes to tangle. I said, you think I'm friggin' stupid? I said, that guy would have killed me. He come in. I said, my guys up there, they wouldn't come down here. So, but we got to be, we go to the next week, the shot, to show you how things are. The next week, we broke the shock mount off the right front. We went in the corner car, dropped, bouncing around, go in, and I said, oh, Lordy. See, then we go to Roanoke, which wasn't 15 minutes away, find a welder. 6 packs crew chief comes down and he said, go right across the street, I'm going over there. I'll weld it on for you. And I said, what? Load it on the trailer. We went right across the street, or near the track, and there was a garage, had a stick welder then. Darn guy cleaned that thing off, stick welded it, pulled it back track. I said, how much? You don't owe me nothing. From then on, we was best friends, but now, see there how it shows you. Now, if I'd got out and fought him, well, I'd have got hurt, first thing. But second thing, we end up being good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just funny how things go, but that's a funny
That's
story on
great
six-pack.
The only other question that I know that I wanted to ask about is,
Here we go.
I know at one point I was going through Grand National Scene, and I came across a story where you had gotten, I think you'd gotten a ticket for driving your race car around Christiansburg, or wherever you were at the time. So tell me about that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, we're a half a mile from the shop. Y'all pass coming in, it's an old garage, it's still there, it's rough shape, but it's still in operation. It got blowed out of proportion.
Oh, blame it on the media.
Well, it was. Ned Jarrett thought this was a funny thing. I don't know. I got to the racetrack, and I said, there are people know more about it than I do. I don't know. And you didn't have no internet, all this stuff
Hey,
then.
don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Well, what I did, I went down towards Floyd, Route 8. When I say I went towards Floyd, I literally went 2 miles down the road. Of course, it was in town. I go a couple miles down the road. I was setting the car up for Bristol, and we was up at this old gas station. We stayed up there 2 or 3 years. So I told the guy, I said, let me start up and I'll go hit brakes, parking lot, hit them, come up, get the car set. I said, heck, I'll just drive it right down the street. And I just go down about a mile or two and turn around. Well, I turned around, guess what? Met a darn town cop. I said, oh, crap. So, man, naturally, he throws the lights on. And I fly back to the shop. I said, dang, that liable to impound my car. So I come back to the shop, and I wasn't maybe a mile or 2 miles from the shop, which is technically a long ways to have a race car on the highway, but I wasn't. Everybody acted like I went to Floyd, which is 30 miles away. Pull in the service station. These 2 cops pull in, 2 of them in the car then. They get out. They knew me. He looked at me, and I remember like yesterday, he said, what are you doing? And, I mean, really, he was like, are you stupid? I mean, he was being serious. He said, man, you know what kind of repercussions? And I said, I just say, I don't care what you're doing. You don't get on. So we're sitting there, and he said, y'all ain't going to do nothing to me. I'm going to go write you a ticket. This guy wrote this ticket. It was illegal tires, illegal exhaust system, no inspection sticker, no wipers. And he said, I can really make it rough. And it was 8 or 10 things on it, and I had to pay the fine. But the next 2 days after that, in the Roanoke Times, somebody put in there, said, because there was a lot of comments being made everywhere about it, so many people thinks that's funny. If he'd hit me or one of my kids with that race car down the road, so he made it sound like I was running 100 mile an hour, and literally I was probably running 40 mile an hour. I didn't go fast in the car. And so I get to the track, next thing I know, here comes Ned Jarrett. It's the funniest thing. Ned Jarrett said, I heard about your escapade. And I went, huh? And he said, took that race car down the main road, didn't you? And I said, well, wasn't that far? Next thing I know is in friggin' Roanoke Times, and I tell you that
Grand National Scene.
yeah, I still got the write-up. It said, Thomas wakes up Christiansburg with late night annex or something. I still got the write-up on it. It's the funniest thing, but it made it a lot worse than what it was. But yeah, I went down the road a little ways in. But God, you do something like it now, they probably, I don't know, it's seriously.
Yeah.
You can't pay judges off like you could back then. Well, I guess it probably still goes on. Wait a minute, I touched a nerve there, didn't I? I forgot. Slipped up.
How you think I got the money come up here?
There's your gas money.
Yeah, that's my gas money. All right. I think that's about all I had.
Yeah.
I think after that we better stop.
That's good. That's good. We can't get no better than that, Ronnie.
All right. You got anything else, man?
I don't know.
I mean, we could.
I don't know. I just.
Lord,
I'll
we
tell
got
you,
2 hours.
Hey, now I want to tell you. Well, y'all go edit what we don't want, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or what y'all don't. I'll tell you. This is one for people that has never got to drive cup cars, or bush cars, or trucks. Some's never even got to run late models or mini stocks. But there's this one particular driver, Ray Huff, ran this area. He's passed away, but I mean, he won a lot of races at Franklin County. He was the first track champion up here in '88 at Pulaski. Super nice guy. And he come up to me. We won the race at Martinsville in March of '89, the late model stock race. He comes up to me the next week, or a couple weeks later, we was signed in at Pulaski. He come over to me, and he made me realize something. He told me, he said, I got to tell you something, Ron. I said, what's that? He said, I always said I used to go and watch cup races. And I have told people with me more than once, I said, I can run faster than he can in that car. I used to say about it and said, man, you out there running 25th. I can run that car in the top 15, top 10, top 20. That's what you probably could. I don't know how long you lasted. You're going to blow up. What are you going to do? You come in, you're going to have to, you're going to put old tires on, so you're going to slow up 3/10. That's the way it is, right? He said, no, I didn't mean it that way. He said, what I mean is, I didn't realize till last year that I run against you in 4 or 5 races. And did we win them all? No, but we won more than our fair share. And we run against a lot of top-name drivers. And as an average, we would outrun, not more times than not, we would beat a lot of the people. He come up and told me, he said, I didn't think he's that great, but in the last year or two, I found out something. You got to have the equipment. I used to think, and I said, but look at it in late model. You got guys up here that's running 20th. They got junk cars. They can't do no better. They're doing the best they can. The thing I couldn't figure out in the late model, though, is Jack Ingram asked me to drive. I'll show you how things change. Jack Ingram come up to me in 95 or 6. He had a brown number 11 Skoll car. And I don't know, was he running? I don't even know if he's still running Bush or what he was running. Maybe he's running late model. I don't. But anyway, his crew guy was with him. I'm out there practicing. This is when you know you've made it in late model. This guy come up and he said, Jack wants to know if you'll run his car a little bit for him. I said, sure. And I'm like, I told Ronnie Kelly's with me, and I said, that's pretty friggin' cool. I mean, a lot of people didn't like Jack Ingram. Jack Ingram was a tough rascal. I mean, he just didn't take no, prisoners. And I said, yeah, and I go down there, and Jack said, take this thing out. And he was telling me what it was. I think he said it was a front steer Laughlin car, I believe. But anyway, he said, it's this, it's that. And I said, okay. And he said, truck arm, I want you to take it out and see what you think about it. I go out and, and he said, now run it. And I said, I'm going to run it. And so I got it out there. And now Jack was good. I don't know how old Jack was in the mid-90s, but God, had to be what, in his 60s?
Well, he was retired from Bush by that time in the mid-90s. I think his last year in Bush was 92.
He's in his 80s now, isn't he?
Now?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would have been,
So that would have been, let's see,
It would have been close to
yeah, close to 70.
so I get in the car and I go out and run it 8 or 10 laps, and I come in, Jack and his crew guy sticks her head in there, and he said, "What's it doing?" I said, "The car's good getting in, it's good, y'all need to free it up in the center." He said exactly what Jack said.
Huh.
And old Jack said, "You got a rank, boy, you look good." I said, "Well, let's track I run at a lot." I said, "That's what I wanted to know." And I thought, yeah, it come from Jack Ingram. And, I just thought it was funny. His crew guy said, and Jack said exactly what I told him. But I run a little quicker than Jack. But you got to realize Jack was probably getting on up there.
Yeah.
But I always thought then, I said, man, and it'd be people at, North Carolina. You want to drive my car? Guy Jimmy Hensley drove for at Wilkesboro the next year, said, "You want to drive my car?" And I'm like, "Clarence Pickle, 26, you want to drive my car?" And here was the problem. I was running so good in my car, I wouldn't drive nobody else's. And I probably, when Clarence asked me to drive his car, I probably should have went on and drove it, just to say I drove it, because, Jeff Agnew and Paul Radford and, what's his name, down Ruckerville, Philip Morris. And you got a lot of people, champions, that drove that car. I'm thinking, I should have drove it just to say I drove it. But I was doing so good in my own stuff, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard driving. I got, you're talking about the Cup, and they were messing with me. I go to these tracks, next thing I know, we're putting 50 pounds on you. What? And, we go up here, and Ronnie Snoddy and Lynn Carroll, I don't know if you remember Ronnie
Yeah.
Snoddy or not.
Yeah, no.
He's a trackman. He was a Goodyear guy too. And Lynn Carroll, the chief steward, went up there and said, we'd run 4 races. We won 3 out of 4. And the other one, we would have won it, but the guy turned me around, or we'd won it. And they said, had a meeting with me. We went on Monday after the race, and the truck promoter said, "We're slowing you down." And I went, "What?" And they said, we're going to put 25 pounds on the left. I put 25 pounds on the left, I go and win a race. Next week, they said, we're putting 25 on the right. Well, we didn't win, we finished second. So we go up the next race and we win. They said, we're going to put 25 more pounds on the left side. And I said, so in other words, y'all going to keep restricting us. They said, we're going to keep restricting you till we get you back to them. And I told guys, the next thing I know, they went on that year. We won 11 or 12 races. We went to Martinsville. Of course, they let us take away that. We said we didn't win a race. We did sit on the pole. We go to Wilkesboro. We finished second. We just still doing good everywhere. And then about a year or two later, we go back. We're winning. They said, we're going to make you put a smaller carburetor on. Well, let me tell you what I mean about the carburetor. Now, we're talking about late models, so Cup people may not get this, but a lot of late model people watch these things. They slowed me down. We had a Chrysler. Here, Chubby Arrington, a lot of people don't know Chubby Arrington, but Joe Thurman and Rumley and Tink Reedy, you've had a lot of names that drove for Chubby Arrington over here. Paul Radford. They had a Dodge. Six-Pack had a Ford. Rumley was driving a Ford, I think, Johnny Rumley. I mean, for somebody else. They doing all this stuff. They come up, all these people run these Fords. There's a lot of Chevrolets, but there's quite a few Fords and Chrysler's up there. They make me put a smaller carburetor. It took about 20 horsepower out of it. When you ain't got but 375, you take 25 is a lot. It ain't like you got 700 horsepower and now you got 680. It really hurts it. It cripples you technically. So we go up there. They didn't do it to anybody else. So we go up there, first race. We run second. We got spun out, backed in the wall. We come up the next race, we won. And we win like 5 out of the last 12 races. And the track owner told him, said, we're not doing anything else to him. So that was 95 or 96. And I told, so I quit running full time and we backed up to running like, we go to Kingsport and we got to running like 8 or 10 races. In 99, the last race, they had a 200 lapper, local track up here, had a 200 lap race, paid big money and all, and it's Eddie Johnson and I can't remember if Curtis Markham, some of these people you all will know of, Philip Morris, some people that actually filtered into Bush and all that were up there. We win the race. And guess what they did? We qualified. They made us start as like 28 cars there. Lynn Carroll says, you had to start in the back. I said, what? And he said, you're pulling some air in the front end. I said, what? You got to have your nose sealed off. You're sucking air to the carburetor. And I was, you know, I had to pull down about that much is all. And we had the 10 pulled down on what it done. The reason we got caught was, you know, you put your little aluminum thing around your air cleaner. Well, see, we had ours off because I didn't want that blocking the front. I said, we'll get that little cool air from the nose. So what they done, they made us pin up, pop rivet that front end up. And he looked at for it and he said, you good. Made us start in the rear. We won the race, got to the front, won it. And when I got out, I told all my crew, I said, we're going to Martinsville next week, and I'm through. And they said, what? I said, y'all want to help somebody next year? I'm quitting. But guess who protested? I was going to show you guys. I got the receipt. I got the picture of it. We got protested after the race. We got out of the racetrack at 2 o'clock in the morning. We had to be to Martinsville on Thursday. They tore the motor apart. The officials were standing around us. Guess who protested? Wood Brothers. John Woods was driving. So I say Wood, but well, I call him Wood. It was him. And Talmadge Thomas, I think, was the crew chief. You heard of this guy, Speedy Thomas' son? So they go up after the race, and Lynn Carroll comes down. He said, pull your motor apart. I said, what? I said, pull it apart, take a crankshaft and rod out of it. And they checked the carburetor and intake. They done checked the heads and intake 4 or 5 times through the year. Want the crank out of it. And I said, what, they're protesting your crank weight. And I still got, so they had to pay $500 to protest you. Well, if you passed, you get $400 back. The track keeps $100 and you get $400 back. Well, I got the receipt where the person's over the track then give me the $400 back a couple of days later because we passed. Tore us down in there, John Woods, the crew chief and all, and I asked the track official, I said, who, did they do this? And they said, no, Eddie Woods. They called when you won and said, Eddie said, put the money up. They think got an illegal motor. And I said, did they get the thing? Said, yeah, he's got a lightweight crank. You had to be 55 pounds on the crank. And they had some kind of things, I don't know, illegal scales they'd had checked. It makes me wonder how much they knew ahead of time, and maybe they didn't, but they checked it to the ounces, and it was like 55.1. It was like an ounce or two to the good. And I left there and I said, Lynn, you realize we have to be Martinsville? He said, if they put the money up, we got to do it. So they did it. He said, you're wrong, after they tore the motor apart. And I said, the motor's not wrong. He said, your wrist pins are 7,000 or something under. So I said, Lynn, why would you a wrist pin 7,000? So if you want to do something, that ain't enough to make a difference on a wrist pin. We called the engine builder at 2 o'clock in the morning. The engine builder says, I've got the receipt. Got them from, down there used to be Copenhagen bunch that passed away. Benny Parsons drove for Jackson and them. Richard and Leo Jackson. He said, I got the invoice where I bought them, Ronnie. Those are legal pins. Told Lynn, he said, I'll go check them with my Mike's down at school. He was down at running some kind of mechanical school down in Salem. So Ronnie Kelly comes and he took one rod and one piston with him, Lynn. We was at Gale. You got to realize this is 2 o'clock when we get to the shop and pull another piston out and go to, actually pulled all of them out. Went to Dale's shop, was there at 9 o'clock the next morning. Dale had his bikes and all that, and he said, Lynn Carroll is wrong. these wrist pins are legal. We met Lynn Monday, and Lynn said, you don't have to tell me, I didn't check them over to the shop. He said it's legal. So I said, got it. And hey, guess what? They had a big write-up in the Roanoke Times, Thomas found illegal. So that was on, it was so late Saturday night that they didn't get in the paper on Sunday. On Monday, they put in there that I was illegal. Guess what? I said, are y'all going to do a retraction? It was about that big, me being illegal. The retraction was about that big. You had to have friggin' binoculars to read it. And I called the track. I said, y'all had a friggin' 6x6 thing in there. I was illegal. And you do a retraction, it's like a 2-inch by 2-inch. And I said, wasn't right. And he said, you're never happy. And I said, no. I said, I'm through with this. And they said, that's whatever you want to do, buddy. And I left there and I went to Martinsville, and we qualified in top 20, and Barry Begley and Greg Marlowe qualified behind me, and we got there late. We didn't get much practice, and I just want to show you how things changed from Cup. Where you're getting out of the way, Barry Begley and Greg Marlowe said, we're just going to follow you up through there. And I said, listen, if I'm in y'all's way, you give me a little bump. Well, I said, I'm not worried about the first 20 laps, because these guys, they always wreck that freaking they start the race and 10 of them pile up. I said, the first few laps, I ain't worried about nothing the first part. I'm just going to try to win this thing or get right up near the front. And they said, we'll just follow you up there. Guess what? Had a friggin' wrecking from me, I run right into it. I mean, it's just the way it is. And I'm just saying, I was talking about people watching. There's a lot of people, you get beat down. And man, I run in Cup now, and I couldn't understand. I said, I'm not getting the respect that I should get in Cup. But I look back now, and maybe I didn't deserve any more respect than what I got, because I didn't run well enough at times to get respect. But I heard Mark Martin here 3 or 4 years ago. He got on a stumble there, I don't know when it was, I guess back in the 80s or something. He said, all of a sudden I think he was Jack Roush, but I'm not sure. He said, I got off for a few races, and man, we got to where we wasn't competitive. And he said, I go to the motel room and I'm thinking, is it me? Am I not getting the job done? Of course, now, it rotate around. I mean, Mark's pretty sharp on them chassis. A heck of a driver. So I'm thinking, how would you feel if you had to do that year after year at it? And it never got good. We go to no more one. I go to Bristol with Harry Hyde, and we qualified 7th. But, you can't do that once and then run 20 sucky races, because what happens is, I run 197 races. Well, frick, when you got 180 that wasn't good, people ain't going to remember the 15 or 20 you run good for 50 laps. It's too much bad to overshadow the little bit of good that you did do. Yeah. Harry Hyde was a case, though. Yeah. I mean, he was fun to be around. You know how much he'd come to Bristol and help me? He wasn't helping nobody that he was out of a job. He said, I'm going to come up to Bristol and help you. I said, Harry, I can't afford you. He said, hey, had pretty rough talks to me. He said, can you afford $5? And I went, what? And he said, I was at the service station on the phone, and pay phone, and he said, $5 to get in the track. He said, you pay my $5 and I'm going to help you. And he helped me there and qualified 7th. And of course, we fell out. Something happened to the car. And, and then Herb Nab helped me one race at Martinsville. He's down there. He just helped me for the day in practice. And so I got to be, I'm going to tell you a good one on Harry Hyde. You're going to like this one. Y'all netted out what you don't want. But we went to Bristol, Richmond, with this car. This was 81 or 82. I'm going out there running, and this was a cut-down car. This is Richard Childress's old car, Monte Carlo. We ran it for years, and a guy ran it for 2 or 3 years after Tommy Crozier out of Roanoke after I sold it. But we cut the frame down. It was a 115-inch car, so we shortened it 5 inches. You remember in 81, they went to what they call the little cars. We didn't buy a car. We just cut ours down to make it work, keep from buying a car. We go to Richmond, 81, 82, and we go out there practicing, and old Marshall with me, and we had old tires on. We was about 17th fast out of about 33 cars, and Marshall said, man, that old car ain't bad. We changed a couple of things, and got up to about 14th. And I said, I'm gonna buy a dag-blame set of new tires. We put them on. It wasn't but about 3 or 4 cars quicker, and I said, Marsh, we're gonna qualify this thing top 5 or 6. And I go in the corner, and with ousting any of them, I mean, these guys, Kalen was on top of things, and I go in the corner, and I could actually run up on them just a little bit in the center. I said, man, well, here comes Harry Hyde. He walks down, and he said, damn car's getting around the track pretty fast, Ronnie. He said, you got tires? I said, yeah, I'm putting a set on it now. So I went and got a set, and I said, don't want to run them much, I want to qualify. No, you need a set, and then we'll put a set on to qualify. I said, dang, I don't know. And so I go out there, and I run. We was about 4th or 5th fastest. I come in here and said, that freaking car's getting around the track, Ronnie. I said, I need to raise a track bar or something just a touch to get it just a little bit better to center. And he said, well, I'll tell you what to do for that. He said, get back in the car. It's God's honest truth. He said, get back in the car. When you go in the 3rd corner there, I want you to drive that much deeper. I said, I can't do it. He said, I said, get in the car and drive it that much deeper. And I said, Harry, I'll wreck the car if I drive it any deeper. He said, I said, get your ass in the car and drive it in this much deeper. Do you want to be a race driver? And I said, get in the car. I get in the car. I go out there, and I looked up when nobody, had a little straight wheel in the back. I come out of 4, and I'm hauling down in 1. I go to that 3rd corner, and I went in 3 or 4 foot deeper. I backed in the wall, put the back bumper short the back end up about that far, crushed the fuel cell. Pulled me in there on the wrecker. I was sitting in the car. I didn't get out. I was sitting in the car on the wrecker, come in there, and he backed me in there. Harry, honest to God, it's funny. It's funny now. He said, I guess you're right. You couldn't drive it no deeper, could you? He got there. I was so mad then, but it's funny now. Yeah, I guess you're right. You couldn't drive it any deeper, could you?
Oh, man.